Hi, welcome to my channel. Today's discussion is going to be about the nature of evil and how to rid the world of it and spread love and kindness. The first thing we have to do is ask ourselves, why does evil happen? First, we'll talk about primary evil, since that's the beginning of all evil. From my experience, I can pinpoint two main reasons, and they are the ego and envy. The ego, or the self, is a thing that mentally divides and separates us as beings. It is like a never-ending black hole that feeds on the feeling of superiority. And the high that a person gets when the ego is gratified through putting oneself above others is almost euphoric. This feeling of superiority, though most of the time false, is as addictive as a drug, and its opposite, which is the feeling of inferiority, is equally as painful to many people. Many of the things that people do outside of basic survival mechanisms are rooted in the subconscious desire to gain superiority and or avoid inferiority. This desire is so strong that it leads people to commit even the worst of crimes against humanity. Let's take bullying, for example. When a person bullies another person, it is sort of like committing a robbery. They rob the other person of their self-esteem in order to increase their own feeling of dominance, because many people falsely associate abuse with superiority. I believe this is mainly because of the stereotype of kings and queens punishing those who offend them, and though this association is deeply embedded in the human psyche, it couldn't be further from the truth. I will explain why later. Now, I'm going to talk about envy and how it is one of the main contributors to all of the evils of humanity. Envy is born of the ego, and without it would cease to exist. The main reason for envy goes back to that need for superiority caused by the self or ego. Envy is basically caused by the ego's need to avoid inferiority in some aspect that society has deemed important, such as wealth, status, or talent. When a person other than ourselves, by some stroke of luck or hard work, gains superiority in any of these aspects, the ego feels robbed, as if they personally wronged you in some way, and when a person is wronged, the first thing they want to do is retaliate. This is why many people, despite never having actually wronged anyone, have been punished nonetheless, simply for having produced that unpleasant feeling of inferiority that the ego works so hard to avoid. Now that we've pinpointed the main reasons for primary evil, we can start to remedy them, since the cause of primary evil is that need for superiority, or to avoid inferiority. In the way to rid the world of it is to reframe how we define superiority and adjust our values. If we think about it, God is the ultimate form of superiority, as God created all things, but God created all things with love and kindness. And so instead of looking to things that don't matter, like status, wealth, or talent for superiority, it would make more sense that being closer to God and being more like God is the only thing that can really make a person better. And since God is love and kindness, the only thing that can really make a person more like God is spreading love and kindness in the same way and contributing to the welfare of the whole while refraining from harming any living beings, since that is what God does. God gives and creates. This false notion of superiority produced by the ego cannot be farther from God, because God does not hoard all of their power only to use it to boast or for status. If they did, there would be no humanity, because God will never have created it. I believe the association people have built with superiority and wealth or talent and status that causes people to crave and covet these things so much is due to the fact that many people with those gifts have been revered in the past for many of their contributions to the advancement of society. But the reason for their veneration is not because of the gifts they possess in and of themselves, but the way they use them to help others and contribute to the overall well-being of the world. So basically, it's due to misattribution that many people desire things that do not matter, and even go as far as to harm others who possess these things to create a sort of equilibrium. I think it is important to remind ourselves that spreading love and kindness and refraining from harming any living beings is the only thing that can make a person better, and everyone is capable of doing that no matter the circumstance. Thank you for watching, and in my next video I will discuss the causes of secondary evil and how to remedy them.